Hello, hello. It's Geraldine, the Living Water Quilter. And it's Behind the Scenes Thursday. Behind the Scenes Thursday. Uh-oh, I didn't open up my laptop so I could watch. Let me do that. How are you? I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. I need to monitor Facebook and YouTube. Getting ready for these lives is always uh, a challenge. But hey, I'm here. Fabulous. What are you up to? What is happening in your quilting studio as I talk about what's happening behind the scenes in my studio? It's Thursday. The second and fourth Thursday is behind the scenes. I go live YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So, hey, how are you? Windmill Quilts and Philly and Jackie. Hi. It's good to see you. So, what is new? What is happening? Well, I've been getting ready for the cruise. The quilting cruise is coming up. We have, I think, a little bit over 2 weeks before we set sail. And I've been putting together all of my class supplies, my teaching supplies, making sure I have my step outs and working on last minute things. Hello, Yvonne. How are you? So glad that you're here. Hello, Jackie. Welcome, welcome. So, what does that look like? What does it look like behind the scenes? If you teach, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't and you're a student, just think about any quilting class that you've been in and you have had to get your own supplies, but the teacher has to have supplies and be organized so that you learn step by step. So I've been looking at all my step outs, making sure I have examples for every step of the process for 3 classes. And I've been filling in the gaps where I've been missing some of those steps. I've had to do some quilting for that. Good evening, Star Point. So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. And what else? I had to create some brand new step outs because the Sea and Sky Strata is a hand quilting class. It's sashiko stitching. And I am not, let's see, a big hand stitcher. So this is something new for me. And if you haven't heard of it, hey, Philly Holiday, so glad she's in California. Welcome. So glad that you're here. Let me show you with my camera what I'm talking about. So this is right here. This is the first actually. First sashiko and watercolor project that I did for the class. This is what I practiced, tried to figure out what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And I have been wanting to play with Inktense pencils. Let us know if you're familiar with Inktense pencils. They are pencils, right, that you can color with, which is what I did here. I colored. But after you color it, if you put water on it, it ignites the ink and it gets intense. Inktense pencils. So this is what I did. And then I wanted to do sashiko, which is a new, relatively new. It's one of the hand stitching techniques that I've been wanting to learn for the last few years. And I started. I started maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but I kind of put it to the side. So when the cruise came up, I thought, perfect. Let me pull out my sashiko patterns and see if I can combine two things that I want to get better at. One is sashiko stitching and the other is Inktense pencils. So a lot of quilters, especially art quilters, love to use Inktense pencils in their quilts. So that's something that I want to add to my toolbox of skills. So this is the first one, and I used some thread on it. So now I had to get some knowledge, some hand stitching knowledge. Remember, I'm a machine quilter primarily. So I remembered when I was learning free motion quilting, one of the things that I had to learn was needles and thread. Same thing here. I had to learn about needles and thread for hand stitching. So when I was in Paducah in April. I made it my mission to go through the AQS Quilt Week show, go to the vendors that sold needles and thread for hand stitching. So one of the booths that I went to is Colonial Needle. Have you heard of them? Let me know in the chat if you've heard of Colonial Needle. I met a wonderful person. His name is Will. Now, I have to say this. Sometimes, let me know if this happens to you. So I'm asking you a lot of questions because this is the conversation. I want to know if you're familiar with hand stitching and needles and thread for hand stitching, whether it's sashiko or quilting. But also, when I attend a quilt show, sometimes I'll go to a booth and the people at the booth are not always very friendly. I don't know if they've had a bad day. I don't know if they're worried about getting something that should have been shipped for the show, or they're preoccupied. And when that happens, I give them an opportunity. I wait and see if they'll even talk to me, but often I get ignored. I don't know why, but that happens. Now you would think, because I'm on social media and I'm on, Cool Conversations Live, and I do all these videos and stuff, that I may not that may not happen to me, but it does. It happens all the time. But not at Colonial Needle. When I walked into the booth, Will was ready to help me. I told him what I was doing, that I was new to hand stitching, I was doing sashiko, that I was putting together a supply list for a cruise class, and he did not hesitate to give me lots of options. And so I came back with a little bag full of things to test. So I tested needles, I tested thread, I tested thimbles, I tested all kinds of things. So think about this when you are attending a quilt class that someone is teaching. When they prepare for the class, they have to go through this process of step outs. What are the supplies? Which supplies are going to work best? And are there options? So one thing that he introduced me to were these needles. I had never heard of them before. John James needles. Now remember, I'm new to hand stitching. So I tested out several, but I ended up using these. If you've never heard of them before, I like this. I tried several for this, and so I end up stitching it with this. And I brought it with me to the show. I brought it with me, and in my hotel room, I was testing. Yes, it's a world on its own. So Jackie says she does hand stitch, fabulous, hand quilting. And Starpoint says it's a world of its own. That is so true. So I need to educate myself. So I tried several needles. I end up liking this one, and this is the one that I recommended to my students. And of course, they have tons of resources for hand stitchers. And if you've ever been to any of my live sessions where I talked about the importance of learning about needles and thread for free motion quilting, the same thing applies for hand stitching. So one of the resources that I talk about a lot for machine quilting is my needles and thread video. But now I got this amazing guide from Colonial Needle with needles. Because when I first started my research, I was confused. But this handy guide, not only do they have images of the needles, but they give you the names, the sizes of the needle, and what they are used for. Handy, handy guide. So a must have. So I have that. And my students will get one of these. And then they have a guide on thimbles. I didn't realize there were so many different types of thimbles. There's a thimble pad, there's different types of thimble pads, there's a thimble with a dipple, a thimble with a crown. How many of you ladies knew that there were that many types of thimbles? So, colonial needle. And I told him about this and how I was going to test everything. And when I got back home, I thanked him for his help and then mentioned that I was going to use some of the things that he recommended. And then I tested and liked for my supply list for the class. And so then I said, hey, what do you think about doing a giveaway? Would you sponsor my class on the cruise? And you know what they said? They said yes. They said yes. Thank you, Will. So they are sponsoring my class on the cruise, and every student is, and look at this, every student is getting one of these. They're getting some needles. Another brand of needles they have is called Colonial needles, and including the John James needles. But every student is getting these, and a spool of thread, and they're getting some of the thimbles, two different types of thimbles to try. They're fingertip thimbles. Thank you, Colonial Needle. And they did this beautiful packaging. Look at the packaging they did. Nice little purple um what do you call it? Why I'm getting a brain freeze right now. Pouch. Pouch, I guess. But it's beautiful. Thank you. Every student's going to get this on the cruise. So I'm really excited about that. So this is such a fun project. Here's another version. Yes, it is nice. As Starpoint says, yay. Oh, yes. And Jackie likes it. Very sweet. I know. I was pleasantly surprised that they sent this for the cruise and that they sponsored the cruise. So thank you again. And here's another version of Sea and Sky Strata. It starts off as a plain white fabric, and then you color it with the pencils, you spray it with water, and then the color gets beautifully intense. And it's just like drawing in a coloring book. It's really, really fun. I enjoy it. And then, of course, you have the hand stitch, right? Now, the hand stitching, I fell in love with Razzle and Dazzle thread. Razzle and Dazzle thread. It's sparkly, it's shiny. It is the type of thread that I thought would work perfect with the idea that the students are taking a sunrise and sunset photo. They're going to pick one. That's the color schemes are based on sunrise and sunset, right? Caribbean sunrise and sunset. But then you need thread to match the color. You need thread to match the color. So again, while I was at Paducah, I visited Wonderful Thread, and we worked out, and they were fantastic. We worked out a special thread collection of Razzle and Dazzle. Sparkly, vibrant colors to match the sunset colors. So all the thread that you see in here is based on the Razzle Dazzle threads. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And to boot, we created a curated 5-color Razzle and 5-color Dazzle. So we have sunrise and sunset. And this is my special artist palette. Let's see here. Yep, artist palette for Sea and Sky Strata. Every student is getting this in their kit. Is that wonderful? Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. So most of the students have already received their kits in the mail. They get to choose these beautiful rainbow of colors that are based on the sunrise and sunset. And they get to stitch the sashiko pattern. So really happy about that. Now, I always have another idea. Raise your hand. Do you have ideas spinning around in your head, taking up space of the type of quilts you want to make, the different crafting ideas that you have? Maybe it's a small pouch or something you want to make that you were inspired by something, but you just haven't had the time to make it, but it's right there, just waiting for the opportunity. Well, I have one such project. Jackie raises a hand. Yes. So true. Yes. So for me, one of those is once I get my head in on a technique, I think about it over and over again, what I can do with it. And that's with the in ink tense pencils. Remember the ones that you color with and then you spray it with water and then it gets like beautiful, vibrant colors? Well, I had been thinking about this bookmark project. I have a new machine, a new embroidery machine, which is again on my bucket list. Ah, Chris too. Yes. So multiple things. Now, I love to combine techniques to create something new. And if I'm working on a new machine, I will take some of those craft ideas and see how I can incorporate it in the new machine. So, Inktense pencils. This is what colored this. Inktense, you color it, spray it with water, and then it's beautiful, right? Well, what else can I do with Inktense pencils? So this is behind the scenes. I've been doing this all week. Something that I've been wanting to do for months, maybe over a year, is to use my new embroidery machine to make bookmarks on white fabric and then color the bookmarks with Inktense pencils. So, if you've been watching me on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, I posted some of the process of me learning how to make these bookmarks. I even talked about how I made a mistake the first time. I used the wrong stabilizer. But now I have a system and I've made quite a few. And so this was the first one that I made. This is the bookmark, all embroidered. Beautiful, right? Fish. And I thought, yes, white fabric. I'm going to do what? I'm going to take those Inktense pencils and I'm going to color it. Now, let me show you the first one where I made the mistake. If you haven't seen those videos, whoops. Oh, it's already colored. So I'll show you this one first. So this is white fabric with black thread. All of this can be colored, right? So this is what it looks like when you color it. Is that fantastic? Inktense pencils. Now, it's like coloring pencils, but in order for it to have this vibrant color, you have to put water on it. You can use a spray bottle, you can use a watercolor brush, which is preferable, which is what I used, so that you get the water exactly where you want it. Fabulous. You like it, Jackie. So this is the corrected one. This one is this is the first one where I made a mistake and I didn't trim off before printing the bookmark. This is a whole process. It ended up taking me like what 4 hours or so before I got it right and then made like maybe 8 of them. So I practiced on this one with the Inktense. So both sides of the bookmark can be colored in any way you want. Is that fun? This is adult coloring. Adult coloring. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And every fish or whatever you make, you can color. So I made some other bookmarks. Here's another one. Hearts and flowers. Wouldn't this be fun to color? This is what I've been playing with the last 2 days. Look at this owl. Is that fabulous? I love this. So neat. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Rhonda. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it. This owl's going to be fun to color. But just think about the difference between these two. Once you apply the coloring to it, it just changes it. Now, you know what happens, right? What happens when you get started? It's hard to stop, right? Especially when you're having fun. So I was having fun this week in between doing the embroidery, figuring out all of my supplies for the classes. I was actually organizing this class, making sure I had all my step outs and what have you. So my Inktense pencils were already out. And that's what reminded me, hey, you want to do those bookmarks. So I did several styles of bookmarks, which I won't show you all of them, but I changed the thread color. I changed the thread color. So I said, okay, not only did I use the black thread and then color it, why can't I use a different thread color? Red work. When you change, I think you're talking Star Point. Are you talking about red work maybe? Is the embroidery like red line style? I think they call it. Yeah, I think it's called red work. So here is red. Look at the heart in red. Red thread, red work. Mm-hmm. Isn't that fun? Now, I have not tried the Inktense pencils yet. I was very comfortable and confident because this thread is black that the colors wouldn't affect, the black thread. I don't know about the red. I'm going to have to test to see if the red thread will be affected by painting it. It may, when I say paint, it's really watercolor. So you color it with a pencil and then you apply water and then it starts to bleed out, fill in. So I'm going to be very, very careful with one. I have one that didn't turn out so good, so I'll test it. But I love the red. Ah, yes, you remember it. Yes, red work. But isn't it gorgeous? I mean, even if I don't color the red, I still think it is beautiful by itself. What do you ladies think? Which is your favorite, or do you like both? Do you like the red, or do you like the black? I guess it might depend on the image. Like, I don't know if this would look good in red. I was careful to pick designs that I thought would work well with the red thread as opposed to the black. I think it just varies. I don't know. So this is one of the things that I was working on the past couple of days this week. I think I've made maybe about 4, 12, 16 bookmarks. Yeah. Just having fun, getting better at making them. And I can't wait to color some more. Yeah, this one is colored on one side. I mean, I guess you could leave one blank if you want, but I just want to have fun. Coloring. And I get to practice getting better using Inktense pencils, blending. Even on this one, if you look at these two, I did practice my blending of two colors here and shading. It's a very, very small space. These are only 3 inches by 7 inches. So who else has joined us in this live? Who else is here that hasn't said hello? Hello, Bethany. Hello, Sung. And who else? Who else is here? Jerry and Kathy. Welcome, welcome. And Barb, welcome. So glad that you're here. Terry, welcome, welcome. So, getting class supplies ready for the cruise and working on bookmarks has been part of my behind the scenes this week. I do have some more information for you about what's coming up resources. That's still behind the scenes. If you're not familiar, I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. I love to help quilters go from frustration to fabulous by helping them learn two techniques. What are those techniques? Machine quilting, right? With free motion quilting and ruler quilting, acrylic ruler quilting, whether it's a home machine or a domestic machine. So I teach at quilt shows, I teach at guilds, I give lectures virtually, classes virtually. I do virtual events for quilt shows as well. And it's actually one coming up, Quilt Fest. If you're not familiar with Quilt Fest, they do something called Quilt Fest Virtual Schoolhouse. So they just announced Virtual Schoolhouse number 10. And I'm teaching in number 10, and it's happening in January. So there's a big lead time to prepare and make your choice on what classes you're going to take. And one of the classes that I'm teaching on the cruise, I've had a lot of responses for those who are not going on the cruise. And so I thought, why not make this a virtual class so that others can have access to it if you're not going on the cruise? And it's called Peaceful Portrait. If you've been following me here on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, you've probably seen it before. If not, let's take a quick look. Peaceful Portrait is about several machine quilting techniques: free motion quilting, machine quilting, and hand stitching. You have the option to hand stitch if you don't feel confident in your free motion quilting to stitch a beautiful, resting, peaceful face. So I wanted to give quilters that option. And since I was already on this journey to improve my hand stitching, remember, I had conversations with Will at Colonial Needle. I have more information about the right needles and threads for hand stitching. So I want to apply that as you're learning, you need to do. It's nice to have a brochure about needles, but if you don't implement, it's not going to help you. So once I get started, I want to start to implement, to do the work. So another peaceful portrait is this one. This is actually the one where the face is hand stitched. The previous one was machine free motion quilting. This is hand stitch the face. So I'm going to teach this on the cruise, but if you're not going on the cruise, you can take the virtual class. What does that look like? How is this done? Again, multiple techniques. One, we have to transfer the image, right? We have to transfer the image to the fabric. So I'm going to show you, hey, Lily, yay, you're going on the cruise. How are you? So glad that you're here. Wonderful. I know Lily's all ready. She's taken a couple of classes. Hello, how are you? Mammy of 8. How are you? Wonderful, wonderful. So you transfer the face to fabric. That's the first step. So we go through that, how to transfer the face and what techniques and things you need to do to transfer the face. Then, are you going to do any hand stitching? And when do you do the hand stitching? In what part of the process? So we go through that. In this instance, this is where I decided to do some hand stitching for the head wrap for this particular face. I think I've made 5 beautiful portraits. Ah, you like free motion quilting. Yes, you're not in the peaceful portrait, but you're in the Caribbean reflections, the ruler quilting. That is right. So this is me now stitching free motion quilting of the face and the hair. Oh, thank you, Star Point. Thank you for coming by. I'm so glad that you were here. I'll see you next time. So from there, you have to make a lot of decisions when it comes to stitching the face. And so we go through that decision process. And I help accelerate some of those decisions so that, because I've experienced the results of some of those decisions, You don't have to. So you get to decide based on my experience on what works and what doesn't work. And it doesn't matter if you're on a sit down long arm or a home machine, Peaceful Portrait is for any and everyone. If you're new to free motion quilting, you can try it or you can hand stitch the face. Hey, there goes my sister. Hey, Penny. The other thing is, how many of you, let us know in the chat, how many of you have a machine with decorative stitches that you rarely use? It's not something you think about when it comes to art quilts or quilting a project. That's the first thing that I did when I first started making quilts. But we can use decorative stitches in a creative, fun way, and that's what Peaceful Portrait does. Oh, thank you. Yes, Jackie raises her hand. Decorative stitches sometimes has a distant memory. We don't always use it. So this is an opportunity to take decorative stitching to a new level. And yes, yes, yes. So many of us just don't use it. So I want us to start learning that we can incorporate decorative stitching not only in our quilts but in our art quilts. Yes, exactly. Putting it in the background. Thank you, Lily. Yep. So this is now a virtual class. So if you're not going on the cruise, you can take the class virtually. And how do you do that? If you want information about that, get your cell phones ready. Get your cell phones ready. I want to show you that you can join me for this class, this virtual class, Peaceful Portrait. Decorative machine stitching, doing it creatively for a background, hand stitching if you choose to do that instead of free motion. If you have your cell phone ready, all you need to do is get your camera app so that you can scan this QR code. This will take you directly to my website where you get all the information about the Peaceful Portrait virtual class. It's in January. You'll get the dates, the supply list, the registration information, everything you need. And there's a short little video of me describing the class. Now, I said I was teaching 2 classes. I think I said that. This is just one. This is one of 2 classes. The second is free motion quilting. And it's one of our favorite designs, spirals. How many of you, one, are stitching free motion? Let me know in the chat. Are you stitching free motion? I love free motion quilting. Remember, frustration to fabulous. That's my whole goal, is to help you go from frustration to fabulous free motion quilting, machine quilting. So in that vein, once you have become a beginner and you're doing free motion quilting, the next hurdle, this is a big hurdle. We practice and we practice and we practice, but how do we get designs in a quilt? How do we go from practice to a quilt? So Spirals with a Twist is the second virtual class for Quilt Fest Virtual Schoolhouse number 10. It's in January. And in this class, I'm going to show you multiple ways to stitch spirals. Everyone loves spirals. I think from meander, many quilters go to spirals because we can change the scale. We can make it big, we can make it small. And not only am I going to show you how to do a variation of spirals, I'm going to show you spirals with triangles, spirals with squares, spirals with circles. And then we're going to learn how to put these spirals in a real quilt. We're going to put it in this radiant star quilt. You're going to make a quilting plan. You're going to practice the spirals, figure out which one you love, one that you're getting really good at as you're practicing in class. Then we're going to make a quilting plan. I'm going to show you how to go from learning free motion quilting to actually putting it in the quilt. What do you have to consider? So that is the next one. Yes, Jackie, she's in my free motion quilting alphabet design class. She is working hard on her projects, her class assignments, doing all the alphabet drills, and doing a good job. What does the spirals, what they look like this in the Radiant? Here's a close-up of the Radiant Star spirals. I did a technique called patchwork quilting. Quilting in the patchwork pieces. Spirals. Spirals. So we are going to learn that. And this is Quilt Fest Virtual Schoolhouse number 10, January 22nd to the 25th. And I hope you can join me. I know some of you have already signed up, and I can't wait to help you go to the next step in your free motion quilting. What? From free motion quilting practice to a quilt. We want to be able to put designs in a quilt. And so if you want more information about that, if you still have your cell phone, just scan this QR code. Both the peaceful portrait and the spirals with a twist are the two classes I'm teaching at Virtual Schoolhouse. Hey, Lori. Aloha. So glad to see you. Whoops, sorry, ladies. I put that in front. Now you can scan it. So join me January Virtual Schoolhouse, 2 classes. So I have been working on those classes behind the scenes, right? So if you are interested in the peaceful portrait and you thought, well, it's only on the cruise. No, it's now a virtual class. So I've been working on the peaceful portrait for the cruise and also prepping for the virtual class. There is always a lot of prep work for teachers. Lots. So think about your supply list as a student and then know that the teacher is doing twice as much. Twice as much to get ready. So let's see. What else did I want to share with you? I had some other updates. Let me go back to this scene right here. Below is a video that I created for one of my virtual classes. This is one that's on my website, and this is one of the behind the scenes things that I do when I think about prepping for you ladies for learning. I think about the things that I would like to have as I'm learning a technique, right? I mentioned learning about needles and thread. When it comes to hand stitching, this is now part of my hand stitching journey, and Colonial Needle has been very helpful in that journey. I'm very thankful for that. And so just like them, a brand who sells a product, they sell thread, they sell needles, they sell thimbles and other products. They know that in order for us to use their products, they provide educational support like these brochures. So I like to do that with my virtual classes. So with my virtual classes, I'm going to fill them with additional help. And one is this video. And those who are taking the Snowflake virtual class that's happening in a couple of weeks, this is included. And this is a setting up your machine for ruler quilting success. Most of us, and I was there, most of us don't know how to set up our machine. So to make the class productive, you get a chance. Matter of fact, those in the class coming up November 2nd, access to this video happened today. So on the website, you made your profile. If you're in the class and you don't remember this, go sign in. You have access to this video now so that you can set up your machine, this tutorial on how to set up your machine before class. Not only do I go through the tools, I go through tension So this is brand new to my virtual classes. Tension, skip stitches, and eyelashes. This video is included and it remains yours even after the virtual class. Those are common things that we run into, problems, challenges with acrylic ruler quilting. Breaking thread, skip stitches, eyelashes, and tension. I go through all that in this pre-class video. Now, don't wait until the day of the class. The whole idea is to get this done before, so that if you have questions, it's based on you trying to get your machine set up so that you can have a successful class. So make sure that you go through that. If you're not in the snowflake class, but you want to learn how to set up your machine for free motion quilting, acrylic ruler quilting success, or free motion, just go to my website, machinequilting.live. This is one of the most inexpensive classes, but one of the most important classes. I think it's my lowest online course. Both of these, you can get this class today and set up your machine for free motion quilting. I go through the same thing, tension, step by step. I talk about machine speed, machine setup, the tools that you need. And it doesn't matter if you're not using this machine. All machines work the same. They just have a different way of setting up those things, like dropping the feed dogs or the foot pressure. You will need your sewing machine manual. So I want everyone to be successful. I want you to go from frustration, remember, to fabulous. So that is something new that I've been working on to enhance my virtual classes, right? So we're not spending our virtual class of learning spirals, figuring out how to set up your machine. I want you to have that all set up ahead of time. Okay, so what else is new that I've been working on? So lately, I've been thinking about more virtual classes because not everyone can come to a quilt show. This year, I did several quilt shows, and some of you said that you couldn't come. It was too far of a drive. And in fact, one lady who wanted to come to a class, she's taking the virtual class in a couple of weeks because I said, you know what? I need to make some of these in-person classes virtual classes because not everyone can come to a quilt show. So I do hear you. I do listen to the things that you want, not only the types of videos and tutorials that you would like, but also what kind of classes. So I've been doing a lot of in-person, a lot of online, but I haven't been doing a lot of virtual, but that's going to change. That is changing. So I need your input. What virtual class would you like? So the first one is this snowflake template for acrylic ruler quilting, and I did that based on your responses to videos you have already told me that you like. Every single time I showed a video with the snowflake template, where can I get the template? Do you have a video? Do you have a class? People want to learn how to use that template. So I said, okay, let me make that the first virtual. The second virtual I am thinking about, well, of course, the second one is the peaceful portrait and the spirals. Both of those were in-person classes that have become virtual. So those are the two more. So 3 altogether. Snowflake, ruler quilting, the peaceful portrait, and the free motion spirals with a twist. But I'm already thinking ahead. All right, Lori, no problem. Thanks for checking in. All right, I'll see you next Friday. Sounds good. So, Lori's another student, and she's just a good friend who has been helping on YouTube. She's a regular Cool Conversations Live regular and our chat host. So thank you, Lori. I'll see you next week. For those of you who are just meeting me for the first time, again, I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Order Quilter. I love to help quilters go from frustration to fabulous by helping them learn and develop machine quilting with two techniques: free motion quilting and acrylic ruler quilting. I like to take quilters from beginner to intermediate to advanced to help them go to the next step wherever they are. If it's learning how to set up your machine like I show here, um, or it's getting a guide. So both machine setup classes, online classes, on-demand classes include a cheat sheet. It's a 9-page cheat sheet that goes through the 8 steps that I teach in the video. So you have the video, and then you have the cheat sheet that you can print out, watch the video with the cheat sheet so that you know that you're going through everything in the guide. So that's included in the class. I forgot about that. And this is from earlier. I'll show that later. I'll come back. So if you want to set up your machine for success, that's how to get started. That's the first thing. That's the beginner step. The next step is, after you learn free motion quilting and you're practicing, you want new designs and more designs. I have a course for that. Then it's, are you ready to go from practice to putting it in a real quilt? How do you do that? Quilt as desired. I just gave a lecture at a guild. That's another thing that happened recently. And the whole conversation was, what does quilt as desired mean? Have you seen that in a pattern? You do the quilt top and it says, congratulations, you're finished. Now, quilt it as desired. For some of us, that makes us nervous. Some of us quilt by check, no problem. But if we're doing it on our own machine, what does quilt as desired mean? Often it's connected to what we know how to do, what skills we have. So my desire is to help you learn to increase your skills with different techniques so that quilt as desired is not a fearful thing. You have learned, you are practiced, you have figured out how to go from practice to a quilt, and you're adding techniques one by one: free motion, ruler quilting, how to use decorative stitching, etc., etc. So the virtual class is another avenue that I'm going to work on to help you. So I want to know what virtual classes you would like. I have an idea that you would like a improv ruler quilting. An improv ruler quilting, what is that? Again, I've been working behind the scenes on prepping for the cruise. And as I do these things, I start to think, ooh, I need to make this a virtual class. Because the Caribbean Reflections class, I don't know if Lily is still here, she's in that class. We're going to learn not only acrylic straight line ruler quilting, but we're going to create straight line quilting that is less structured. We'll have some structure, but I also wanted it to be a fun class. So I thought, why don't we do some improv? Because again, the cruise is more, it's like a vacation, but you're learning at the same time. So I didn't want to have too much structure, but we need structure to learn, right? So what if we start with the rules first? We start with the rules, and then we slowly remove the rules one at a time. We break the structure. Like if you think of a house or a building, and we slowly remove parts of the structure to create free form space. So that's what I was thinking. So we start off with straight line quilting once you learn how to use the tool, and then we divide the space and quilt it any way we want. This has a little bit of structure. Divided into 4 different parts, and then each part is quilted any way we want. So this is improv with some structure. So, virtual class, what do you think? It's beginner friendly. This is what I'm thinking. Behind the scenes, I'm thinking about what would be good for you ladies to learn. Here's another idea. Oh, great, Lily, she's still here. You're going to learn this on the cruise. This is another option in the improv straight line quilting where, again, we're dividing the space, and in the space we have sections. Each section we can quilt it any way we want. This still has some structure. So we start with rules and structure, and then we slowly dismantle those rules. But we're going to use the rules and techniques to help us slowly dismantle the structure and do more improv. So the first two, these two pink ones, have some structure, but there's still some freedom. I think of improv as freedom. So if we're just meeting for the first time and you want a more extensive information about this improv ruler quilting, go to my YouTube channel. I did a whole live session, was it last Friday, on improv ruler quilting. Go check it out. Now, what about this? This is still improv with some structure. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that comment. Thank you for saying that. Bring this down here. So this is very freeing. When we had the conversation last time, it was, what does improv quilting mean to you? What does it mean to you? Does it mean, in one word? To me, it means freedom. It means we can have some structure, but we can be free to do whatever we want. We can free to break rules, right? We can take space and quilt it very randomly. We can provide one piece of structure, and then from there, which is what this does, this provides one piece of structure. And from there, I just quilted it any way I wanted, but all straight lines. That's one rule. It's all straight lines for this type. So one straight line design based on one structure, but then the rest is improv. The spacing is different, as you can see. It becomes a design of its own. So what do you ladies think? If you think this would be a fun virtual class, you learn how to use a straight edge ruler. I show you how to use this specific ruler type. Yes, it means choices. I like that idea. Wonderful. Oh, what's my YouTube channel? Living Water Quilter. Living Water Quilter everywhere. Here on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Living Water Quilter. Search for that. And if you want to see the improv video on YouTube, it's under live. So at the top, you'll see videos and then live. Click on live. Now, what if our improv went in another direction? We segmented the improv into many sizes and shapes. We take one quilt sandwich and we divide it unevenly. It doesn't have to stay even in any way. Remember, the first two were very structured divisions, very structured. Let me go back to that so you can see it. Let's see, I'm going to cover this and then I will. So very structured division, right? You can see rectangles and squares. In this one, it is not so. So as we move slowly into improv, we are taking away more and more structure. Oh, we did. I don't remember that. We met at Podfest in Orlando. I remember that going there. Oh, was wonderful. Oh, fantastic. Yes, I was on a panel talking about live streaming on Amazon for business. Yes, at Podfest. It was an Amazon panel. We were all Amazon influencers and we were all chatting about how you can use Amazon for your business. Yep, that was a couple years back. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for reminding me of meeting you. I'm going to go back and look at your profile and then just double check. I've been watching your videos too. I like your videos as well on Instagram. So, let's see. So, look, this is the result. I'm going to stop it right there. Think of the difference between this and the first one that had lots of structure. So that's what I'm thinking about. A lot of you ladies really love the videos that I shared on this one. This is not the final result of this. I added some bonus stitching on it. But if you are interested, in this virtual class, I need at least 10 to 15 ladies to say, yes, I want to do it, and then I'll schedule it. If you are interested, just scan this QR code and I will contact you with details when we have enough ladies to do a virtual class. It's going to happen, I hope, either November or December. When I come back from the cruise, we will have a virtual ruler quilting class that is good for beginners. This is a fun class that is fabulous for beginners. All right, wonderful. You are quite welcome. You are welcome, welcome, welcome. I want ladies to succeed at ruler quilting, and the only way to do that is not just hear about it, watch videos about it, but it's to do it. And I want to help you take what you hear and learn and start to put it into action so that you can successfully quilt your projects. There was one lady during that improv session that we did last week. She's a modern quilter and she has been quilting with a walking foot. And when you learn how to use an acrylic ruler, it's a game changer for straight line quilting. If you're a modern quilter and you love straight lines, this improv ruler quilting class will change your life. It will, especially if you don't use rulers. If you want to use rulers, so right away she's like, where can I get that ruler? I want to help her and you go to the next level. She says the walking foot was just taking too long. It was too slow for her. So if that's something you want, just scan the QR code and let me know. So that's one virtual class that I have in mind based on the videos that I've been sharing on social media and your response to them, that you've enjoyed them, you've liked them, you want to learn how to do it. So I want to create that opportunity. I don't want distance to be a barrier, meaning I'm teaching at a quilt show in person and you can't attend. Virtual, anyone can attend. Okay, so that's one idea. The other idea was to do a virtual class on the sea and sky strata. If you're just joining me, I talked about one of the updates, things I've been working on this week is preparing for the cruise. And one is the sea and sky strata. So, what do you think? Would you be interested in a virtual class on how to use Inktense pencils to create these? This is on the cruise, and some people are not going on the cruise. And many of you have said that you like these You want to learn how to do the watercolor pencils, how to stitch the sashiko pattern. If that's something you're interested in, let me know if it could be a virtual class. And if you still have your cell phone, now this could be a virtual class in February of next year. It could be in March. It could be any time. Once there's enough students, I will schedule the virtual class. So just scan that and drop your email in it. When you scan, you'll get on the list. And then once we have enough students, we will set a date. We will set a date. So that's what's been going on with me. We're at the top of the hour. I'd love to come live with some behind the scenes, what's happening, what resources are available for you for machine quilting, what classes, what online or virtual or quilt show like Quilt Fest. We're going to have a wonderful time with Peaceful Portraits, a virtual class that's coming up. It's in January. A lot of ladies have had tremendous interest in this. When I first talked about it being in the quilt show, being on the cruise, quilting cruise, I said, let's make it a virtual class. So that's my goal. My goal is to change some of my classes from in-person only to virtual classes. I want to help you get to the next level in your machine quilting journey. So let me know. Leave a comment. Send me a DM. Yes, I'm interested in more virtual classes. Give me some ideas of what you would like to attend. Okay? Well, I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's back to work for me. I know it's late. It's 9 p.m. here on the East. And I'm just about done for the day. I just have a few things to tie up. But tomorrow, I hope that I will be packing all my class materials for the cruise. They're all laid out. I think I have everything I need, but I'm going to check each class and then pack it up. Pack it up and put it in the suitcase. Oh, wonderful, Jackie. She loves the virtual classes. Yay. Just if you're interested in it, just do the QR code, sign up, and let me know. None of this is available on my website. So it's not like front and center. Maybe I should put it on my homepage. Right now, it's just these QR codes because I just thought about it today. I knew I was going live and I thought, well, why don't I share my ideas and see if this is a true behind the scenes. I want to share with you what I'm up to and that I'm thinking about what I can do to help you go to the next level. So I can't wait to see you, ladies. I'm going to sign off. I'll see you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live. Oh, by the way, there's always one more thing. Quilt Conversations Live, traditional horizontal, happens every first and third Friday, Facebook and YouTube. This vertical format is a new thing, and it's going to be on the second and fourth Thursday, 8 p.m., second and fourth Thursday. And it's all behind the scenes. What's happening, what's new, what classes you can take, what projects I've been working on, those kinds of things. And even like I was going to show this earlier, but I forgot. This week, I've just been having fun. This is not for a class. This is something that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to make bookmarks. I've been wanting to make bookmarks. Is that gorgeous? Let's see if I can get this in the camera. There we go. I just love this bookmark. Look at that. Two-sided. Just having fun with these bookmarks. And then I tried it with not only black, where is it? This one. Yeah, here we go. But also red. Is that awesome? So I was having fun with that. And then what did I do? I decided to go from black bookmark to coloring it with Inktense pencils. Is that fun? So much fun. So that's also behind the scenes, just having fun, doing what we love to do. All right, ladies. I'll see you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live. Take care.